Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon, sir.
Let us start. Okay. Have you prepared the supply time of supply chart? I only got from 2 people. Huh? What about the others? You are going to prepare time of supply charts, no? Forgot. All right. Let us continue then. So till now, what all we have done, let us see that. Okay. So we have done main basic conditions of supply, right? Supply section 7 that we have done. Okay. Then we have done value of supply. Value of supply. Okay. Then we have also done time of supply. And yesterday in the last part, we have done different types of supply, right? So that was your composition, composite supply, mixed supply, then import, deemed import. Okay. So that all we have done now. We have covered that. And we have done a little bit of registration under GST. That also we have done a little bit. Yes or no? All right. So today we'll continue with the registration concept. Okay. What do we need for registration? What is a composition scheme? Today I am going to teach you something new, that is composition scheme dealer. Okay. Once you get register, what all options do you have? Okay. So one of that is composition scheme dealer. Very important, very important from practical point of view also, and from your numerical point of view also very important. All right. Okay. I think people are still joining in. We are not getting the required number today. Anyway, I hope they will join in quickly. So tell me, what was the concept of registration quickly? Tell me what was the concept of registration? When do we get to need ourselves? When do we need to get ourselves registered?
Turnover above 20 lakhs.
Correct. So that was threshold limit, na? If turnover exceeds threshold limit, okay, then the person compulsorily needs to get registered. Okay. And the threshold limits were different for different kind of person, right? So for goods, what were the 3 threshold limits, guys? Tell me. 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs and 40 lakhs. These were the threshold limits, na, for goods. And for services, the threshold limits were 10 lakhs and 20 lakhs. Yaad aa raha hai kya? Are you guys able to recollect?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 10 lakh for 4 states. Which 4 states?
Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland,
and Tripura.
Tripura.
20 lakhs for 6 states. Okay. And for rest of India, the limit is 40 lakhs. This is applicable only for goods. The person who is dealing only in goods, person who is dealing in services or both goods or services. Okay. Then 10 lakhs for 4 states, and for rest of India, it will be 20 lakhs. Simple, na? That was the whole concept of registration. Okay. So now see, now once a person crosses the threshold limit, now see what happens. The person gets an option to opt for something called as composition scheme. Person gets to opt for gets to opt for something called as composition scheme. Okay, this composition scheme is applicable to mid-level dealers, not small scale. Okay, mid-scale dealers, that is who have crossed the threshold limit. Okay, for whom registration has become compulsory. Registration is compulsory, right? But they are still not considered as large scale dealers. They are still not large scale dealers. So there is a limit for that also. We'll have to see. Okay. So if you fall within that limit, above threshold limit and below a certain limit, below the composition limit, then you can opt for composition scheme. Okay. And in composition scheme, I'll tell you what is the limit. In composition scheme, okay, the GST is not collected at normal rates. Okay, but the GST is collected at lower rates. GST is collected at lower rates. So supplier, if the supplier is in composition scheme, what will happen? He will collect lower GST from his customers. Okay, than usual. Lower GST than usual. Okay, lower GST than usual from his customers and pay it to the government. But then you will say, what is the benefit to the supplier? Anyways, he is going to collect GST from the customer and pay it to the government. So what does it matter if it is at higher rate or lower rate? Yes. Will it matter? Collecting GST higher rate, collecting GST at lower rate?
No.
It will matter, because if I am a dealer who is collecting GST at a lower rate, I'll get more customers, na? I'll get more customers. So for example, you are a customer, you have an option to choose between two dealers. One dealer who is under composition scheme, who provides goods at a lower rate, and another dealer who is not under composition scheme. He's a normal dealer, large scale dealer, who provides goods at a higher rate of GST. Which one you guys will choose?
The lower rate.
Lower rate, na? You'll choose lower rate. Okay. The thing is that, could you explain the concept once more, because our MCQ just got over. Okay, we have just started. I'll quickly tell you what I have just started. We have revised about registration. Okay, we are revised about registration, that when registration becomes compulsory, if your turnover exceeds threshold limit, correct, the registration becomes compulsory. And these were the threshold limits that we have done. Okay, now today's concept is composition scheme dealer. Today's concept is the composition scheme dealer. Okay, so if you have crossed a threshold limit, if you have crossed the minimum threshold limit, and for you registration has become compulsory, so now government gives you two options: either opt for composition scheme or do not opt for composition scheme. If you opt for composition scheme, hey, someone's mic is on. Please mute yourself.
Net slow.
Okay. So if you opt for composition scheme, what happens? You collect GST at a lower rate from your customers, and your customers are happy. They will keep on purchasing from you. If you don't opt for composition scheme, you collect GST at a higher rate from your customers, right? And then your customers will not be happy. They will try to go and find a dealer who is under composition scheme. Understood the entire concept of composition scheme? Okay. But this composition scheme is applicable only to few persons, right, to mid-level dealers, not to large scale dealers. It is applicable only to mid-level dealers, not large scale dealers. Okay, if you are a large scale dealer, you have to collect GST at a normal rate, at a higher rate, normal rate. All right, now let us see what is the limit. This is one more limit. Apart from registration, this is another limit now. So for goods, that's why see, for MCQs you will have many things to remember. For your MCQs, for your 2-3 marks question, there are many things you guys will have to remember. Okay, so now let us see composition scheme for goods, composition scheme for goods, and composition scheme for services. Now who all fall under it? Who all fall under composition scheme? And here also for services, who all fall under composition scheme? What is the benefit of composition scheme? Tell me once again.
You get to pay GST at a lower
You
rate.
get to collect GST. I am a composition scheme dealer, na? I am a composition scheme dealer. I am collecting GST. You get to collect GST at a lower rate. So that's why more customers will be attracted if you are a composition scheme dealer.
Sir, when this when this mid-size dealer is buying it from the producer, that time he will have to pay a higher rate.
Okay. See,
But then,
let us say I am a composition scheme dealer. Okay, I am purchasing from one manufacturer and I am selling it to my customers. So in this case, for me, while purchasing, I will not get at lower rate. He also has to be composition scheme dealer then.
but then he will be at loss, right?
Why I will be at loss?
Because suppose he pays it at like 18% GST, but then from his customers he will collect it at only 16%.
And then?
So that 2% will be lost for him. Right?
You are saying from ITC point of view, na?
Ha.
ITC anyway for composition scheme dealer, ITC is not applicable. If you get self-registered under composition scheme, you are not eligible for ITC. That we'll study later on. Okay. So benefit of composition scheme is that it is for your customers' benefit. If you want to attract more customers, you can register under this scheme. But if you register under this scheme, ITC, input tax credit, is not available for you guys. So if you want input tax credit, you will have to go for normal registration. Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that. Why ITC is not available? Why ITC is not applicable? We'll do that. Okay, let us see then. So for goods, who fall under composition scheme? The dealers who have crossed threshold limit and the turnover is below 75 lakhs. This is for special category of states. This is for special category of states. Dealers who have crossed threshold limit, right? They have crossed the basic registration limit, but they have not yet crossed 75 lakhs. And what do you mean by special category of states? All those 4 plus 6, 10 states. So that will cover Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya, then Uttarakhand, right? Telangana, Pondicherry, all those 10 states with 10 and 20 lakhs limit. The states with 10 and 20 lakhs limit. Okay. So in all those states, the dealers who have crossed the threshold limit and turnover is less than 75 lakhs. If this is the case, then you are not a large scale dealer, right? You are not a large scale dealer. Okay. And you collect GST at a lower rate from your customers. Okay. And if you fall under Rest of India, other states. If you fall under rest of India, other states. Okay. Then these are the dealers who have crossed threshold limit, and whose turnover is less than 1.5 crores. Double. 1.5 crores. Then again, you are not a large scale dealer, right? You are not a large scale dealer. You fall under composition scheme. And you collect GST at lower rate from your customers. See if this is clear to everyone. What is a composition scheme? Dealer for goods. What is a composition scheme? Dealer for goods. Is this clear? Yes or no? So you are somewhere in the middle. You have crossed the threshold limit, but you have not become a large scale dealer. Okay, so you are a mid-level dealer. So government is saying, in your case, since you are not a large scale dealer, you can collect GST at a lower rate from your customers. So because of this, what will happen? So more customers will be attracted now because you are selling goods at a lower GST rate. Okay, so more customers will be attracted, and then your turnover will start to increase. And once your turnover goes beyond these limits, beyond 75 lakhs / 1.5 crores, what will happen? You guys tell me. What will happen? Will I be able to go under composition scheme now? The dealer will become a large scale dealer now. And by default, GST will be collected at normal rates, not the lower rates, If this whole concept is clear. So basically, until you become a large scale dealer, government is giving you benefit. Correct. Good. Answers in the group chat are correct. Understood? For goods, what is the criteria? And what if your limit is below threshold limit? What if a dealer has not even crossed threshold limit? Then
no registration,
no GST. Then no registration is required, and you don't need to collect GST at all. So GST is not collected, no collection of GST. GST collected at lower rate and GST collected at normal rate. Correct? So if you fall below threshold limit, you don't need to collect GST. If you fall above threshold limit, but below this 75 lakh and 1.5 crore ka limit, then you have to collect GST at lower rates than usual. Okay. And if you go beyond 1.5 crore, 75 lakhs and 1.5 crore, then you become a large scale dealer, and composition scheme is no longer applicable to you. Okay. Composition scheme is no longer applicable. Okay. Here you cannot opt for composition scheme. You cannot opt for composition scheme. So see the logic. Government says if you want to increase your turnover, you need to attract new customers. Correct? If you want to increase your turnover, you need to attract new customers. So that's why we are giving you a benefit. What is the benefit? You get to collect GST at a lower rate. Done? Any doubt till here, guys? All right. I hope there is no doubt. Now for services, dealers who have crossed the threshold limit. Threshold limit for service is different, and whose turnover is less than 50 lakhs. Okay. Does not matter whichever state. Okay. No problem. Okay. Then you fall then you are not a large scale dealer. You are not a large scale dealer. Same thing, correct? Here, whatever I have written over here, you are not a large scale dealer, right? And then you get to collect GST at a lower rate from your customers. You get to collect GST at a lower rate from your customers. So more customers will be attracted and your turnover will start to increase. And once your turnover goes beyond 50 lakhs, in the case of services, once your turnover goes beyond 50 lakhs, the dealer becomes a large scale dealer, and by default GST will be collected at normal rates. And here you cannot opt for composition scheme anymore. Okay, so this is additional part than registration. Huh? This is additional part. After registration, what happens? Okay, done. It is clear to everyone? Are yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, lower rates means how low? That also government has told us. Huh? That also government has told us. Generally, GST rates are what? GST rates are 18% and above, right? Generally, I'm saying, generally GST rates are 18% and above. Okay. But if you are a composition scheme dealer for goods, so for goods, the composition scheme rates are, they have given the rates also. They have specified the rates also. First, for manufacturer who manufactures and sells goods, GST rate is only 1%. Only 1%. Huh? So 0.5% CGST, 0.5% SGST. Now see, if you are taking goods from a large scale manufacturer, as a customer you are paying 18% GST. Okay, but if you are taking goods from a small scale manufacturer or mid level manufacturer, you are ending up paying GST of only 1%. 17% tax saved of customer. Obviously more customers will be attracted now. And government wants to motivate middle level dealers. Now government says we want that mid level dealers should become large scale dealers. That's why this concept was introduced. So if this is clear. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For restaurant service, it will be 5%. GST will be 5%. That's why some restaurants. Okay. The thing is, can you please explain lower rates again? See, lower rates means what? If you are a composite scheme dealer, you don't need to collect GST at 18% and above. You get to collect GST at a lower rate. You get to collect GST at a very, very low rate. So for manufacturer, as low as 1%. Manufacturer, a small scale dealer who has just crossed the threshold limit, but who has not crossed the limit of 1.5 crores in Maharashtra. He's still what? He's still a mid-level dealer. So he will not collect GST at 18%. He'll just collect GST at a mere 1%. Okay, done. Then those dealers who are supplying goods in restaurant, not restaurant service, I'll say goods in restaurant. Okay, they will collect only 5%. They will only collect 5%. That's why some restaurants collect 18% GST. Some collect only 5% GST. Okay. And for other types of goods, GST is again 1%. GST is again 1%. Okay.
So what comes under other goods?
Anything other from manufacturer and goods in restaurant. So dealers who are purchasing goods on one hand and selling goods on the other hand. So those who are traders, those who are dealers, they will come under other. So for them also it will be 1%. For them also it will be 1%. All right. Now, same way for services, generally GST rates are 18% and above for services under composition scheme, the composition scheme rates are 6%. Okay, it will be just 6%. So 3% CGST, 3% SGST. Okay, for all services, for all services, the rates will be 6%. Good concept, na? It motivates middle level dealers to become large scale dealers. Okay, it motivates mid level dealers to sell more. And then once they become large scale dealers, they automatically come out of GST. Yeah? They automatically come out of composition scheme. And then they will have to start collecting GST at normal rates. Done? Clear? Let's move on. If there is any doubt, let me know. Huh? Now this composition scheme, it's optional. Huh? It's optional. It's not compulsory. Okay, it's optional. So you can opt out of composition scheme also. Opt out of composition scheme also. So it is not compulsory that you have to go under composition scheme. Okay. The main reason for this is because composition scheme does not allow input tax credit. Composition scheme does not allow input tax credit. So some dealers do not take composition scheme. Okay. Do you guys remember what was the input tax credit? Yes.
Yes, output,
Yes,
output supply management.
Okay. So example, I'll take an example. Let us say Mr. A is under composition scheme. Okay. Has sold goods to Infosys, who is registered as a. Will Infosys be composition scheme under composition scheme?
No, sir.
Obviously not, because their turnover is obviously above 50 lakhs. Infosys, who is a normal dealer. Okay, normal dealer. So Mr. A under composition scheme. So Mr. A is also a registered dealer. Huh? Mr. A is also a registered dealer, but the only thing is he is registered under composition scheme. Okay, has sold goods to Infosys, normal dealer, amounting to 100,000. Okay, at, let us say, 1% GST. At 1% GST, or amounting to, let us say, 10 lakhs. Amounting to 10 lakhs at 1% GST. Now Infosys is using these goods in furtherance of business. Okay, and it is providing services. To its customers, and the service amount, example, I'll take a simple example. Service amount is, let us say, 12 lakhs. Service amount is 12 lakhs. Okay, and GST rate is, now guys, pay attention. Infosys is not a composition scheme dealer. So for Infosys GST rate is normal rate of 18%. And here 1% GST was what? Was a lower rate due to composition scheme. If you understood the example till here, then I'll tell you what happens now. Is the example clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now generally what happens? Generally in case of ITC, generally what happens? Tell me. Output GST collected minus what do I get to deduct?
So input GST.
Input GST.
Input GST
Paid.
paid to supplier. Correct. Output GST collected from customer. Output GST collected from the customer. And from that, what I get to deduct? I get to deduct input GST paid to supplier. Right. So here, what is the output GST collected from the customer? 12 lakhs
2,16,000.
into 18%.
21,06,000. So
2,16,000.
2,16,000.
Not 21 lakh 16. Okay, 2,16,000 is the output GST collected from the customer by Infosys. Okay, and input GST paid to supplier is how much? 10 lakhs into 1%. 10 lakhs into 1%. So that is 10,000. 10 lakh into 1%. That is 10,000. So Infosys general case, Infosys would have collected 2,16,000 less 10,000 and final GST paid to the government would have been what? Final GST paid to the government would have been only 2,06,000. Right? This would have been the case, huh? This would have been the case, but now this input GST will not be applicable. This input GST will not be applicable. Why not applicable? Because you have purchased from a composition scheme dealer. That's why input GST will not be allowed. See if this is clear, everyone. Because already you are getting a benefit of low GST. In that benefit, you will not get another benefit of input tax credit. Yes, someone was asking something.
Yeah, sir. So only suppliers who want to increase their turnover will go for
Perfect. See then what happens, huh? What Infosys will say? Infosys will say that we will make a contract with Mr. A. Okay. If Mr. A is not under composition scheme, then only we'll make a contract with Mr. A. Otherwise, we are not interested. Correct now, because then Infosys misses out on its Infosys misses out on its input tax credit. Okay, yes, I think someone needs the explanation again. I'll explain again. So generally, if this is not a composition scheme, I'll take this example again. If this was not composition scheme, what would have happened? GST rate would have been 18%. Input GST would have been normal rate 18%. Output GST also 18%. So Infosys is collecting 18% on 12 lakhs. Infosys is collecting 18% on 12 lakhs and minus input GST paid to supplier would also have been 10 lakhs into 18%. Okay. And final GST paid to the government would have been only 36,000. This was the normal case. This was the normal case. Okay. So I'll write it over here. Normal case. This benefit is available to all kinds of dealer. This benefit is available to all kinds of dealer. So in this case, let us take Mr. A as normal dealer. Okay. Mr. A is a normal dealer. Sold goods to Infosys, also a normal dealer, amounting to 10 lakh at 18%. 18% means normal GST rate. At normal GST rate of 18%. Okay. So this is not an example of composition schema. This is an example of a normal case. So in this case, what happens? In this case, we get input tax credit. Output GST collected is 20 lakhs into 18% is collected, and 10 lakhs, sorry, not 20 lakhs. This was how much? 12 lakhs. No? 12 lakhs into 18% Infosys will collect, and 10 lakhs into 18% Infosys is already paid. So final GST paid to the government by Infosys is how much? 36,000. This was the normal case. See if you understood this, Pratik. Till here you understood? Okay. So this is called as input tax credit. Whatever tax you have paid on input. So when you sell, it is output GST. When you purchase, it is input GST. So generally the rule is you get to reduce input GST. So you collect 2,16,000 from your customers. You actually collect 2,16,000 GST from your customers, but you pay only 36,000 to your government. That is a normal case. Okay. Now I'm changing this example. Now I'm changing this example to composition scheme. Okay. Now I'm changing the example to composition scheme. Okay. Mr. A, now he's not a normal dealer. Mr. A is composition scheme dealer. Mr. A is a composition scheme dealer, has sold goods to Infosys, who is still a normal dealer, amounting to 10 lakhs. But now, since Mr. A is composition scheme dealer, so he will sell it at lower GST rate of 1%. Lower GST rate of 1%. Okay. Remaining example remains same. Now Infosys is using these goods in furtherance of business. Okay. Service amount is 12 lakh, GST is 18%. So now what happens? Output GST collected will be 12 lakh into 18%. Input GST paid is what? 10 lakh into 1%. Correct? However, so 1 lakh into 1% is 10,000. 10,000, right? But however, what happens? Infosys is not allowed to take input tax credit. Infosys is not allowed to take input tax credit because it had purchased from composition scheme dealer. Okay. So Infosys will have to pay entire 2,16,000 to the government. Whatever collected has to entirely paid to the government. Now I think this will be a better example to understand the difference between normal scheme and composition
So
scheme.
won't it be 2,06,000?
What happened?
The GST paid to the government.
No, this 10,000 is also not applicable. Not even 10,000. No input tax credit allowed. Even if this was 10 lakh into 1%, even this 10,000 you are not allowed to deduct. You'll have to pay entire 2,16,000 to the government.
So then what's the point of buying from a...
Okay, good. What's the point of buying from a composition scheme? If I'm a final customer, I am purchasing mobile and I'm not going to use it for furtherance of my business. I'm not going to take input tax credit. Okay, I'm not going to take input tax credit at all, like you guys do. You guys are final customers and you guys don't have any business. You guys don't have any services. You are not providing any services. You are final customers. Correct? Now you are buying a mobile from someone. Okay, you are buying a mobile from composition scheme dealer, and if you buy from composition scheme dealer, you pay only what? You pay only 1%. You do not pay 18%. That's just a hypothetical example. All mobile companies are more than 1.5 crore. So that's why you pay 18% only. So mobile would not be a good example. You can take any other, local goods. You can take any other local goods. So composition scheme dealer is better for people who are buying as a final customer, who don't want to take input tax credit. For them, composition scheme dealer, buying from composition scheme dealer is the best option. All right. Okay. So next question is, what if Mr. A is not registered? You guys tell me now. You guys know this. If Mr. A is not dealer, Mr. A is not registered and Infosys is registered, what happens now?
Infosys will directly pay to the government.
Reverse charge mechanism, reverse charge mechanism. Infosys will pay, correct. Infosys will pay tax directly to the government. Because Infosys is registered and Mr. A is unregistered. New example, Mr. A is neither a normal dealer nor a composition scheme dealer. Mr. A is below 10 lakhs, or let us say Mr. A is above 10 lakhs, but is an unregistered dealer. Okay. So in that case, Infosys will pay directly to the government. In the same question, ITC मिलेगा क्या? नहीं मिलेगा, क्योंकि ITC का concept ही नहीं है ना. ITC का, there is no concept of ITC in reverse charge then. ITC will see
Sir-
differently. Yeah? Input tax credit, one whole chapter is there. Next chapter is input tax credit only. We'll see that.
And if Infosys is not registered, then?
If both are unregistered, then you only tell me what will happen.
No. Mr. A is registered.
Registered, but what? Normal dealer or a composition scheme dealer?
Any?
Both, sir, both.
Okay, we'll take both examples. So Mr. A is a composition scheme dealer and Infosys is unregistered dealer. Unregistered dealer does not care about ITC, na?
No, but like,
dealers-
suppose Mr. A, okay, sorry, Mr. A is a registered dealer. He is not composition scheme dealer, normal dealer, registered. And Infosys is not registered. So then
Infosys will prefer to buy goods from a composition scheme dealer instead of a normal dealer.
But what about in the case of Mr. A? How can he file for ITC? Like, what will he do?
Any person under composition, any person dealing under composition scheme, whether the purchaser or supplier, listen to me, whether the purchaser or supplier cannot claim ITC.
No, but what if he's normal? He's not composition.
Then he can. No, then he can. Why not? Then Mr. A must have a supplier, right, to whom he has paid GST. Correct?
Right.
That will become input GST for Mr. A. And Mr. A collecting GST from unregistered dealer will become output GST.
All right. Okay.
Okay, clear? All right, done. So if a customer is unregistered dealer, means obviously he or she is not going to claim ITC, right? Then that unregistered person will always prefer to buy goods from a composition scheme dealer, because then you get goods at 1% instead of 18% GST. See if this is clear. All right.
Please repeat this statement again.
Which statement? If a person is a unregistered, if the customer is an unregistered person, okay, if the customer is an unregistered person, then that customer will prefer to buy goods from composition scheme dealer and not from a normal dealer. Because if you buy goods from composition scheme dealer, you get them at a lower GST rate. Okay, done. Is this clear? Okay, next. Now, see the next part. So what is the problem with composition scheme? The problem with composition scheme is that no one involved in composition scheme, let it be buyer or seller, okay, can take ITC. No one involved in composition scheme can take ITC. That's the problem with composition scheme. And what is the benefit with composition scheme? With composition scheme, the benefit is that customers get goods or services at a lower rate than usual. Okay, clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let us see the next part then. Also, in case of composition scheme, now this will be important for MCQ. The seller cannot issue tax invoice. Okay. The seller will issue something called as bill of supply. Okay. A registered dealer issues tax invoice, and then others will have, they will issue bill of supply. Okay, so there is a doubt on the group. Is there any way to find if the dealer is under composition scheme or not? You just have to ask the dealer. You just have to ask the dealer that are you under composition scheme or not? Okay.
Okay, sir.
And if you guys want to find out, then you will have to search on the GST portal. There is a GST portal, right? But for that you need to be registered dealer. Then only you can search the portal, right? On that portal you can see who are the composition scheme dealers in your area. That you can do.
All right.
All right. Okay. So in case of composition scheme, the seller cannot issue tax invoice. The seller will issue bill of supply. Okay. And one more thing is that in composition scheme, this is again important. In composition scheme, what happens? GST is charged at lower rate, right? GST is charged at lower rate. Okay. But now see the important point now. But this GST is not actually collected from the recipient. Okay. But the seller himself pays GST directly on turnover. This point is a bit tricky, guys. This point is a bit tricky. Okay. So what is happening over here? GST is there. GST is at a lower rate. Okay. But then what is happening? Who pays to the government? The seller pays to the government, and seller does not pay it on each transaction. The seller, what the seller will do? Seller will take total of all turnovers, total of all transactions during the year. Seller will take total of all transactions during the year. And if the turnover is below 75 lakhs or 1.5 crore, na? So turnover is below 1.5 crore for rest of the India. And in bracket, I'll write 75 lakhs for special states. Okay.
So special states include all the 10 states, right?
All the 10 states, right? All the 10 states. Then what will happen? Seller will pay GST directly on this turnover at whatever lower rate. So GST, now guys pay attention. Generally what happens? In case of a normal dealer, GST is collected on each transaction and it is paid after each transaction. Okay. So monthly GST is paid. Monthly GST is paid to the government. So if I'm a normal dealer, what I do is I collect GST from all my customers in the month of June, correct? And in the returns of June, in the monthly returns of June, I'll have to pay GST to the government. Composition scheme is not like that. Okay. You pay GST not on individual transactions. Okay. You take the entire annual turnover. Okay. And on that annual turnover, you will directly pay GST once.
So what if the turnover at the end of the year turns out to be more?
If the turnover turns out to be more, by default, you come out of composition scheme, right? And now once you come out of composition scheme, you will have to collect GST at normal rates from your customers. You will have to collect GST at normal rates from your customers. So your last, let us say in the month of June, till the month of June, April, May, June, in the first quarter, you have collected GST as a composition scheme dealer. Okay. And after 3 months only, your limit has exceeded 1.5 crores. Okay. Then after that, it's not possible. Then you will have to collect GST at normal rate. You by default come out of the scheme. You become a large scale dealer, no? And large scale dealer, this rule is not applicable. Composition scheme dealer rule is not applicable. So if it is clear, everything till here is clear to everyone.
So what if like till now you've been collecting at 1%, but then you're like, then you come out of the bracket of 1.5 crores, and then how will you start, like, okay, fine, for the remaining
then you will start issuing
customers
tax
you can
invoices of bill of supply.
Okay.
When you are not a large scale dealer, you issue under what? You issue bill of supply, na? Now you will start issuing
Yes,
tax invoice.
but then that will be for the remaining customers after you realize that
Remaining,
you've
that will
crossed
be for the
1.5.
remaining after 1.5
Okay.
crore limit.
Yeah. So then the government doesn't raise any problem
See,
that
what the government says, the government says, instead of doing like that, the government says government will check at whether your preceding year's turnover is less than 1.5 crores. Preceding years, okay, not this year. Government will check whether your preceding year's turnover is 1.5 crore. If yes, then you are allowed to be under composition scheme, okay, and collect tax at lower rate. Okay. If no, then what happens? You are not allowed. Simple. You are not allowed. No, not allowed. Done. So government, while giving this composition scheme dealer, when you get a status of composition scheme dealer, government will also check your preceding year's turnover. Huh? Government will also check your preceding year's turnover. Because with the preceding year's turnover, government generally knows that what type of dealer is this guy. Okay, is he a large scale dealer or a small scale dealer? Done. Understood? So always to opt the composition scheme, you always have to see preceding year ka turnover. So all these limits of 75 lakhs, 1.5 crore, okay, these apply to preceding year. These also apply to the current year, okay. But let us say in the preceding year, your turnover was 1.75 crores. Will you get to be under composition scheme in the current year?
No.
And if your preceding year's turnover is less than 1.5 crore, in the current year, you will be allowed to be under composition scheme up to what? Up to turnover of 1.5 crore. Huh? Once you cross that limit of 1.5 crore, what happens now? After 1.5 crores, what happens? You come under normal dealer. You come under normal dealer and you collect tax at normal. Rate. And obviously in the next year you will not be allowed under composition scheme because this year's turnover has already crossed 1.5 crore. So next year you are not allowed to go under composition scheme. Okay. I think all doubts of composition scheme are clear now. Any doubt? Any other doubt, guys? Just check if there is any other doubt. I think there is one more doubt. Okay, no doubt. See, yeah, guys, all these limits are very important. So you guys need to know that what is the turnover? Is it 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs? If it crosses 10, 20, 40 threshold limit, then comes the composition scheme ka limit. And if you cross the composition scheme ka limit also, you cross composition scheme limit, then you are a normal large scale dealer. Then you don't have any option but to collect GST from your customers at a normal rate. All right. Okay. So some points are important, like we cannot issue tax invoice, we cannot take ITC, right? So two problems is we cannot issue tax invoice, we have to issue bill of supply, and second problem is we cannot take input tax credit. Okay, done. Okay, so now we know who is a normal dealer. Okay, normal dealers means registered person. Now we also know who is a unregistered dealer. Okay, and now we also know who is a composition scheme dealer. All these are clear to everyone now. Okay, one more doubt is there. If for past 2-3 years we are under threshold limit, but if uncertain event comes like corona and because of that our turnover increases like medical supply, then what? Is there any exception? No exception. Once you cross 1.5 crore, you become a large scale dealer, no? Why will the government keep on giving you composition scheme ka benefit if your turnover is crossing that limit? So let us say in 20 kab aaya re 2020 na
20.
2018 your turnover was, you are in Maharashtra, okay? So in Maharashtra, obviously rest of India, it will come under rest of India. So turnover limit is 1.5 crore. Your turnover was 90 lakhs, okay? In 2019 your turnover was 95 lakhs, okay? And then in 2020 due to corona, okay, you are a manufacturer of medical supplies, Maharashtra, and manufacturer of medical supplies. Now, while starting 2020, okay, while starting 2020, can this person, can Mr. let us say X, can Mr. X of Maharashtra claim composition scheme dealer in 2020 while starting his business in 2020? Yes.
Yes.
No problem. So he started as composition scheme dealer, okay, and his turnover was 1 point, let us say, not even 1 point, let us say 3.5 crores boost in medical supplies. Now in 2021 he is saying that now business will go back to normal and I'll not earn 1.5 crore. But can he start as a composition scheme dealer in 2021?
No.
He cannot start as composition scheme dealer. Composition scheme dealer. Okay. And now let us say in 2021 his turnover actually came back to let us say 96 lakhs. Now on these 96 lakhs he cannot collect GST at lower rate because in this year he is not a composition scheme dealer. But in 2022 can he start as composition scheme dealer?
Yes.
Yes, he can again start as a composition scheme dealer. See if your doubt is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, done. Next. So now we have looked at different types of dealer. Normal dealer means I'll call them as registered dealer. Unregistered dealer who are below threshold limit. Correct. Composition scheme dealer are who are above threshold limit, but below तुम्हारा 50 lakh, 75 lakh और 1.5 crore वाला लिमिट है. 50 lakh, 50 lakh किसके लिए? For whom 50 lakhs?
Services.
75 lakhs for goods in special category of states, right? And 1.5 crore for goods in rest of India. Okay, so those are composition scheme dealer. And normal dealer can be what? Can be above threshold limit, correct? And can also be above composition scheme limit. So if some person, guys, pay attention, composition scheme limit. If some person is having a turnover of more than 40 lakhs but less than 50 lakhs, can he still be called as a normal dealer? Can he still go for normal dealer?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So composition scheme is optional. If you want, then only you can go in composition scheme. Otherwise, you can be called yourself as registered dealer. Okay. Okay. Now let us see other types of dealers and what happens with their registration. Okay. And what is the status of registration? Very important. Very important. When do they need to get registered, or will they get composition scheme dealer? All that we'll see now. All that we'll see. Understood now what we are doing? We are still looking at registration limits. Who is a registered dealer? Who is not a registered dealer? who are different types of dealer under registration that we are seeing today. Let us start then. Have I given you the registration charts, guys? Have I given this chart? Registration wala chart, ये वाला chart दिया है क्या? I think it's there in the Excel sheet now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what about this chart? Have I given this chart?
No, sir.
No, no. Okay. Okay. Let us see then. So other types of dealer, I'll just insert the chart over here. So for other types of dealer, guys, pay attention. For these other kind of dealers, okay, registration is compulsory. Yeah, registration is compulsory means these above cases, okay, the dealer will have to get compulsorily registered, irrespective of any limit, irrespective of any threshold limit. One of that case we have already seen. The first case, interstate supplier. If you are an interstate supplier, you don't have that threshold limit. You have to by default get yourself registered. That we have seen, na? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these above case, dealer will have to get compulsorily registered irrespective of threshold limit. So does not matter if he or she crosses 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 40 lakh. Okay. Even if 1 rupee supply is done, compulsorily have to get themselves registered. Okay. So let us just see who are these people. Interstate supply. Interstate supply. Okay. So you are having place of business in, let us say, Maharashtra. Okay. And no other branch, and selling goods to Punjab. Okay. So you don't have a branch in Punjab. You don't have a showroom in Punjab. Okay. You are just based in Maharashtra and selling goods to Punjab. Then you are an interstate supplier. No? You are an interstate supplier. For you, there is no concept of threshold limit. You have to get yourself registered. Clear? First example is clear. The first category. Now let us see the second category. Casual taxable person. Casual taxable person. Okay. Means nothing but a freelancer. Okay. Person who is a freelancer. Okay. Who is not having any place of business, right? Not having a specific place of business. Okay, then by default that person will have to be what? Will have to get compulsorily registered. Because then government, if the person does not have a specific place of business, government can't keep a track. Government can't keep a track of such person, right? I hope you guys know what is a freelancer. Who takes projects, who takes whatever job on project basis, okay, or contract basis, right? Then that will be a casual taxable person. Is this clear? But in India, no one does it. In India, all casual taxable person have to get themselves compulsorily registered. But in India, no one does it. Okay. So the traceability of this is a bit difficult because already he is a freelancer, right? He does not have a specific place of business. So tracing such person becomes important. So government is saying it is your responsibility to get yourself registered. Not everyone is going to do that. Okay. Is this clear? Then next is non-resident taxable person. Non-resident taxable person. Okay. So what is happening? The person is conducting business in India. The person is conducting business in India. Okay. Business or service, whatever. Business or service in India. Okay. But the problem is the person is non-resident. What do you mean by non-resident? You must have studied this in direct taxes. Not in India for more than how many days?
182.
182 days in previous year. And there are many other cases, but let us just stick to the general case, right? Not in India for more than 182 days in the previous year, right? So in that case, that person is a non-resident, right? So he can leave India anytime. He or she can leave India anytime, right? So that's why government says that for such kind of persons, registration is by default compulsory. There is no turnover limit. There is no turnover limit. Okay. Next, agents. Agents have to compulsorily get registered. Okay. Even if you are an agent in intrastate supply, even agent in intrastate supply, still you will have to get yourself registered. So government has given this specific limit, specific list where threshold limit is not applicable. Threshold limit is not applicable. You have to by default get registered. Okay. Then persons who fall under reverse charge mechanism. Reverse charge mechanism. You are a big company, okay, and you are always taking goods from non-registered suppliers, then you fall under reverse charge mechanism. So for you, turnover limit is not compulsory. You will have to by default get yourself registered.
So what is RCM?
Reverse charge mechanism, na, we saw this, na?
Yes.
Reverse charge mechanism. Under reverse charge mechanism, so does not matter what is the threshold limit, by default you will have to get yourself registered. Okay. And then the 6 categories: person or class of persons notified by central government. So central government can come up with their notification anytime during the year. Central government notification, that's the thing with notification. Government can come up with notification tomorrow also, that from tomorrow onwards we are listing these people under compulsory registration. Okay. So central government, it notifies by way of official gazette, right? By way of official gazette, they will say that from tomorrow onwards or from midnight of today onwards, what will happen? These kind of persons will have to get themselves compulsorily registered irrespective of threshold limit. So central government has that power. Central government has that power to bring anyone under this list. To bring anyone means any kind of dealer. To bring any kind of dealer under this list. Only the central government can do this. State government cannot do this. Okay, state government cannot do this. See if this is clear. So even let us say if the central government thinks that even intrastate supplier will be brought into this list, that's okay. Government can do that. So any person which the government thinks should come under this list, they can bring them, no problem. They have to just amend the act and they can bring them. Okay. And there is one more person which I have not mentioned over here is OIDAR, those who are providing online services. Those who are providing online services, they have to compulsorily get themselves registered. So online services in nature of data, accessing data, retrieving data, those kind of services. Okay. So online services in case of data access, data retrieval, etc. So basically data access and data retrieval means anyone providing online service. It will have anyone providing online service. They have to get themselves registered under this. Is this clear? So these seven category of people will have to get registered irrespective of threshold limit. And for everyone else, we have this. For everyone else, we have these limits: threshold limit and composition scheme limit. Threshold limit and the composition scheme limit. Yes, any doubt till here, guys? Anyone has any doubt till here? Yes or no? What happened?
So
All right. So see what we have done today. We have started today with this new. It's not new, actually. It's new for you guys. Okay. So it's composition scheme dealer. Okay. We have to see who falls under composition scheme. Different for goods, different for services. Okay. What are the rates? What are the cases for composition scheme dealer? Okay. And what are the other types of dealer who are neither normal dealer, non-unregistered dealer, nor composition scheme dealer? These people have to compulsorily get themselves registered. Compulsorily get themselves registered under GST. Okay, so next doubt is composition scheme in our syllabus? Yes, it will fall under levy of GST, levy and charge of GST. Levy and
that's
charge
section
of
3, right?
Huh?
Section 3, right?
Correct.
Levy.
Section 3. Section 3. Levy and charge of GST. Okay. Done. Now let us move on to the next one. So in registration, what we'll do is we'll do next type of thing is let me just open up the registration charts. Okay. These we have done. These we have done. Now let us see how to get yourself registered. Okay. Let us see how to get yourself registered. So there can be a direct question. Explain the procedure of registration, 10 marks, because registration procedure is quite a bit long. Registration process is quite a long registration process. Okay. And also one more thing, guys, one more thing. These people cannot go for composition scheme. Okay. These 7 category of people, they cannot go for composition scheme because they for them no threshold limit is applicable. Na? So irrespective of threshold limit, irrespective of composition scheme limit. Okay. So they are neither applicable under threshold limit nor under composition scheme limit. So these persons cannot opt under composition scheme. Okay. They have to compulsorily get registered as normal dealers. Okay. They have to compulsorily get themselves registered as normal dealers. So that was one important part. Should we do this, guys? It's a long process, but it's quite a simple process. Okay, it's a long process, but it's a simple process. Most of these things you guys must already know. Huh? Most of these things you guys must already know. Okay, let me bring this chart into our Excel sheet then. So all our registration points, we can do it in one place. Okay. So this is the process of registration. Huh? Section 25 read with rules 8, 9, and 10. Quoting of section is not required for you guys. For BCom level, quoting of sections is not required. Okay. So applicability. This registration process is applicable to anyone who is a normal dealer, person paying tax under composition levy means composition scheme. Okay. Person seeking voluntary registration. Voluntary means what? I am not applicable under threshold limit, but I want to register. You can do so. You can voluntarily get yourself registered. And CTP. What is a CTP? We have just seen today. Casual taxable person. Casual taxable person. Okay, that is a CTP. This procedure is not applicable to NRTP. That also we have seen today, non-resident taxable person. And it is not applicable to person who deduct tax at source, TDS, and not applicable to person who are supplying OIDAR. OIDAR also we have seen today, online services, right? Online information, data access and retrieval services. Okay. So this entire procedure, this entire chart is only applicable to normal persons, normal dealer, composition scheme dealer, people who want to voluntarily register, and casual taxable person. Okay, let us read. Obviously, if you are applying for registration, you will have to make an application. Application will be in GST REG 01. This is a form for application. The form is divided into two parts, part A and part B. Okay, and you will get yourself registered on GST portal through electronic verification code. Okay, so the doubt is, sir, exactly what kind of registration? GST registration, na? GST network registration. If I cross 10 lakh limit, if I cross my threshold limit, I'll have to get registered. Registered means what? I'll have to go to the government and call myself a normal registered dealer. Without registration, you cannot collect GST from people. Huh? Without registration, you cannot collect GST from people. If you collect GST from people and you are not a registered dealer, it will be a criminal offense. If you are not a registered dealer and if you still start collecting GST from people, that is not allowed. Okay. So see, OIDAR is supposed to get registered, but for OIDAR, for NRTP, this registration process is not required. Registration process will be different. Okay, this registration process is for normal person, composition scheme person, and CTP. For these NRTP and OIDAR, they have to get themselves registered, but their registration process will be different. That was the confusion, Alina. Yes, this chart is only for specific people's registration process. All right, okay. So step one is what? Step one is make an application in GST REG 01 form. You can do it electronically at GST portal. Okay, and then sign or verify through electronic verification code. Okay, documents needed to be submitted will be PAN card, permanent account number, mobile number, email address, and most importantly, your state or union territory. Registration will be state-wise. Huh? So if you are having two places of business, one in Maharashtra and one in Gujarat, then you will have to do two different registrations. Huh? If you have two places of business, one place of business is in Maharashtra, another place of business is in Gujarat, you will have to carry two registration certificates. So that's why the third point. In case of CO, what is CO? Company. Acha, in case of company, PAN of company. Okay. In case of company, it will be the PAN of the company. Yes, yes. So what all is required? PAN is required. Okay. Mobile number, email, that obviously for correspondence purpose, and state or union territory of the place of business is required. Okay. Then once you apply this with documents, this you guys will have to do. This application you will have to do. Then what government will do? Government will verify. Government will verify that your PAN is correct from your CBDT database, Central Board of Direct Taxes, because PAN is for direct taxes. So government will verify your PAN, mobile number, email, and one OTP will be sent on it. Okay. Then you will not directly get the GSTIN. You will not get the GST number. First, you will get what? You will get a temporary reference number. Okay. You get a temporary reference number is generated, and part B shall be submitted electronically along with documents at GST using the TR. Now, acknowledgement. On receipt of such application, an acknowledgement in the prescribed form shall be issued to the applicant electronically. Okay. And CTP, casual taxable person, gets a TRN for making an advance. So that's okay. This you guys can skip. You guys don't need to write this acknowledgement wala part. You guys don't need to write this. Okay. You can skip it from your, this thing, writing this acknowledgement. Okay. Because acknowledgement is by default given with TRN nowadays. Now, once you get this, once you get the TRN, you'll have to forward this TRN to your jurisdiction officer. You'll have to forward to your proper officer. Okay. And that officer will what? Will examine your documents. If any deficiency is there, okay, this will be done within 3 working days. And if any deficiency is there, that officer will say, give us new form. That will be GST registration 03 form. Okay, you'll have to submit new form now if there is any deficiency. Okay, if there is no deficiency, but the proper officer needs clarification that how many states you are working. Okay, in Maharashtra, do you have any subsidiary company? How many branches you have? How many showrooms you have? If the proper officer is asking for clarification, you will submit one more form, GST registration number 4 form. Okay. If even after deficiency and clarification, if proper officer rejects your form, he will give the rejection in GST registration 5. So if it is clear till here, guys. So GST registration 1 for application. GST registration 1 for application. GST registration 2 is for other person. For this other person, NRTP, OIDR, for all of them, that GST registration 2 form will be there. Then GST registration 3 will be for what purpose? For filling up deficiency. GST registration 4 will be for filling up any clarification. If your application is rejected, you will get it in GST registration number 5. Okay, I'll clear the annotations now. And if there is no problem in your form, you will by default get the registration approval. You will by default get the registration certificate, and that will be in form GST registration 06. And with this registration certificate, what you will get? You will get a GSTIN. This will be your permanent GST number. This will be your permanent GST number, and this GSTIN you will have to compulsorily mention on tax invoice. You'll have to compulsorily mention this GSTIN on tax invoice. If your tax invoice does not have GSTIN, it is not a valid tax invoice. This GSTIN will be 15 characters. Out of those 15 characters, 10 characters will be your PAN, 2 characters will be your state code. Okay, 2 characters will be your entity code, whether you are an individual, whether you are a partnership firm, whether you are a company. Okay, and then 1 is a checksum character, that is for the government, that is for the government reference. See, if all registration procedure is understood, very simple now. Registration procedure is very simple. Huh?
Sir, in the exam also you have to write it like this only.
Yes, you will have to write it with all the forms.
Headings and
Headings,
form.
yes, you will have to write the headings of GST. No, this heading is not required. This is not required. Okay, this heading is not required. You can just write these. You can just write these. Okay.
So also tomorrow, 4:30 to 5, we have an MCQ test from college. So can you keep class before or after?
We'll keep after 5, then 5 to 6:30. Let's keep that 5 to 6:30 tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Registration procedure is clear now, everyone. Okay. At the end of today's lecture, could you share the paper pattern? I already talked with Monica ma'am today about the paper pattern. We'll get to know in 1 or 2 days. Okay. She said she's confirming with your faculties, and we'll get to know within 1 or 2 days paper pattern. Can we have before test? What do you want to have before test? Paper pattern? Acha, lecture before the test. Tomorrow I can take from, let me think, 12:30, 1:30 to from 2:30 to 4. Is it okay? 2:30 to 4, guys. Lecture.
Yes, sir.
No. Okay, we'll take after the test only. Majority of you are saying after the test. So we'll take 5 o'clock, na? Your test ends at 5, na?
Yes, sir.
So 5:05, 5:55 is okay. So you'll get 5 minutes ka break, and then you can join in. Or 5:15. Tell me quickly what you want to do. 5:15 is okay, na? 5 to 6 only 1 hour. We'll take 5:15 to what? 6:45, na? Okay. We'll take 5:15 to 6:45. Okay, chalo. So registration is done. Registration is done. You come at 5:15, then we'll see for how long we are to take. Okay, you guys come at 5:15. Tomorrow you guys come at 5:15. Then we'll see till what time we want to take. And till when are your these internal objectives going to continue? Any idea? Okay. Okay, the doubt is it important to remember the section numbers? No, for BCom it's not required. Okay, if you remember the sections, it is well and good. Okay, even if you don't quote the sections, that's okay. Just don't quote the wrong sections. Okay, so it's always better not to quote the sections if you are unsure. If you quote a wrong section, your marks will be deducted. So instead of that, don't quote the section numbers only. And they will not ask you directly a question on section number. Huh? Explain section number 7. They will not do that. Okay, they will say explain the conditions of supply under section 7. So that's okay, because now you know you have to explain all the conditions of supply. All right, done. Registration is understood to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I'll provide one more chart, cancellation of registration, that you guys will read on your own. So today I am going to provide one more chart. When does registration get cancelled? It is very logical. Okay, you guys read this today. Okay, you guys read this today, and then we'll discuss this first thing tomorrow. and tomorrow we'll start with input tax credit. Input tax credit is practical concept, numerical concept. We'll solve questions up to 10 marks in input tax credit. Don't miss out on tomorrow's lecture. Okay.
Sir.
Sir,
what about input supply?
Input supply means inward supply. No, it's the same thing.
Okay.
And for input tax, again, there is concept of input supply. So in input tax credit also we'll see that. Input supply, what is input supply? What is capital goods supply? Do we get input tax credit on only input supply, or do we get input tax credit on capital goods also? All those concepts I'm going to start tomorrow. Input tax credit might take 2 lectures. Input tax credit might take two lectures. Okay, is value of supply done? The basics of value of supply, the numericals of value of supply is done. Theoretical part is not that important. Theoretical part of value of supply is not that important. We'll just go through it quickly later on. All right. Anything else? And guys, start making your notes if you want. If the Excel sheets are getting confusing, or if the charts that I am providing are getting confusing, you want it in your own concept, own logic, please start making notes. Some of the students are making notes and getting those confirmed with me. You guys also can do that. Okay, you guys can also do that. None of the guys has done it now. All girls who are preparing notes and getting them checked. गाइस क्या है ये? तुम लोगों को खुद से नहीं करना है कुछ, या सिर्फ लेक्चर देख के समझ में आ रहा है पूरा? इतने होशियार है तुम लोग. ठीक, चलो. So we'll meet tomorrow 5:15 ना, tomorrow 5:15. And registration, entire audio of registration I'll send separately. I have already sent audio clip of time of supply. ठीक है? I'll send the audio clip of registration separately. Okay, let's end the meeting now. Enough discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, no problem.